At least 168 people have been killed and 745 injured after a tsunami hit coastal towns on Indonesia's Sunda Strait. Waves struck at night without any warning, destroying hundreds of buildings. Officials say the tsunami could have been caused by undersea landslides after Krakatau or volcano erupted. Joining me now on the line to discuss this is Emeritus Professor of Oceanography, Frank Shillington. Prof, good afternoon to you. So this has to do with a volcano and some undersea activity. Just break this down for those of us who don't have the scientific understanding of what happened.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me on. Generally, tsunamis are created by earthquakes which shift the Earth's floor underneath the sea. And that pushes the water up and then creates a wave that travels out as a tsunami. People have become more and more aware of tsunamis, particularly since the very big one in 2004, the Boxing Day tsunami, also off Indonesia, which killed many, many, many people. So it came as somewhat of a surprise that this Anak Krakatau, which is called the child of Krakatau because the original volcano Krakatau exploded in 1883, and it pushed a lot of material into the local fairly shallow area and created a huge tsunami which actually was measured off Cape Town. So that tsunami went a tremendously long way. It was a really big one. Since then, we've become to understand tsunamis quite well. The dynamics of the ocean waves are well understood. And in the Pacific, there are many undersea disturbances, many earthquakes that cause tsunamis. So they are not, whilst they're not common, they're not rare, particularly in the Pacific. The Indonesian area is very volatile. It's almost part of the Ring of Fire. But the big surprise is that this Anak Krakatau, the child of Krakatau, which has come out of the caldera, apparently, how did it, in fact, generate a tsunami? So the thought is that there must have been an underwater landslide, which displaced the water and then caused the wave to move out more or less in a northeasterly direction through the Sunda Strait. And the Sunda Strait is between Sumatra and Java, and it's a fairly shallow region. So in shallow regions, the tsunami tends to create, it tends to build in height, and this is what has probably caused the devastation. So a lot of the areas are very low-lying, and the damage has been along the coastal, low-lying coastal areas where people are probably doing a lot of fishing and things like that. So that's hopefully paints a little bit of a picture of what happened there.
Let's talk about the ability to predict such events, Prof. How long or how much time would authorities have to predict this sort of thing and possibly move people out of the danger zone? Because one of the things that we're hearing is that this particular event was rather unexpected.
Yes, well, this volcano apparently has been erupting for some time. So the surprise is that it actually generated tsunami. Now, normally tsunamis, as I've said before, are created by earthquakes. And the earthquakes, we get knowledge of those very rapidly, particularly through monitoring systems. And depending on how far offshore the earthquake is, you get a very long period of warning. You know, for example, we had 12 hours of warning in Port Elizabeth when the tsunami arrived there. But if you're close, like the Japanese tsunami in 2011, they only had something like half an hour. Now, this is not a lot of time, and so the important thing is to have a warning system. And there seems like there was no warning in this particular instance, and that's probably what caused the so many people to die. But in the original Krakatau tsunami, some 30,000 died. And in the 2004 tsunami off Indonesia, 250,000 people died. So whilst it's horrible to know that 168 people have been killed so far and many injured, it's relatively small compared to some of the other very big tsunamis.
And does the vast difference then in the death toll speak to a better sense of preparedness from the authorities on the daily in the event of a volcano or a tsunami?
It could do. Another problem was that this tsunami struck at night, so there was no warning. And in fact, the reporting agencies have suggested that a popular Indonesian rock band was playing on a beach, and two of their members both died. So it depended very much on what people are doing and, how close to sea level they were.
Indonesia has continued over the years to be a popular holiday destination, even after that horrific tragedy in 2004. 230,000 people, I think, died in that tsunami. Should we, as people who look to Indonesia as a tourist destination, be scared? And if so, how afraid should we be?
That's a very difficult one to answer because, we can't really predict volcanoes and we can't really predict earthquakes. We have in a general sense, we have a fairly good idea of where they're likely to occur, but the actual occurrence is extremely difficult to predict. And this is not helped by the fact that in the United States, where they have the United States Geological Service, very good at predicting, very good at measuring earthquakes and very good at measuring and pinpointing tsunamis. They have a partial shutdown in the U.S., and so their site is not working. So that's not helping. So people are trying to go to the local geophysical institutes to see if they have better information about this sort of events.
Oceanography Professor Frank Shillington, thank you for your time this